A very good evening to everyone watching. I hope you are having a good festive season. My name is Toivan Jabela, and this is the agenda. Tonight on the platform, we are joined by Maureen Mbuende. She is the interim managing director of our national oil company, Namcor. She's here to share with us some perspectives, especially taking over a company, a very huge institution at a very critical time of our transition, our energy transition. Thank you very much, MD, for making time. Congratulations first, because I know that you were appointed in August already, but somehow I haven't had a chance to congratulate you. How has the 4 months been so far?
Yes, no, thank you very much for having me. Yes, of course, I think the time allowed me to settle in, to climatize, and it has been a good 3-4 months. I think good experience, and my experience in the house was also very handy in preparing me for this.
Yeah, wonderful. Maybe tell us just the context, because of course your appointment maybe surprised a few people, not because of your capacity or lack thereof to lead an institution as big as that, but perhaps because we always knew Maureen Mbuende as this political star. We knew you as an MP, we knew you as a Deputy Minister of Finance at one point. In the context of this job now, what experience do you bring? What is your background in the corporate space?
Yes, of course, long before joining politics, I've been in the corporate environment. I worked with the UN. I worked with City Savings Investment Bank as a finance manager. I actually was an active chief executive, for what was a good title, at the time that City Savings was going through difficulties, and I managed to pull it through. I joined project financing with National Housing Enterprise. So I've been also on the board of director for Agribank for almost good 10 years, with Number. And I think my exposure was good enough. And of course, my political background, having been with international relations, having been with Home Affairs, and having been with Finance as Deputy Minister, also becomes so handy, and it adds value to my profile, engaging with the industry players.
Yeah, absolutely. But then you took over a very a company in trouble in many ways. Internally, there are issues of just the companies there is this issues of debts, there are issues of subsidies from the state, sometimes adequate, sometimes not. And then also at a time when the company is in the national spotlight regarding the corruption cases that are currently playing out in court, does that make your job even more difficult or exciting, perhaps, to say?
I think better word would be exciting.
Yeah.
I remember when, of course, the appointment came as a surprise, and when I was still frontling with it to understand what my task is, Natalia Kwakos, honorable, my good friend, said to me, I think there can't be a better person than you. You are the one who've been preaching about governance, transparency, and corruption in Parliament. Go and practice what you preach. So I think it was definitely, it speaks to my personality, and at the right time. First of all, apart from the issues, petroleum industry is the hope of Namibia. Yeah. At the moment, the potential for economic growth, we are looking at it. And it was very important that a company at the forefront of it, which is the Namibian face, needs to sell Namibia as a country that upholds governance, structure, that can manage its finances right, and also that can ensure or keep the investor confidence. Because there are so many countries that we're not the only ones, probably the last one getting into the queue of oil explorations and upstream. And it is important that we keep the attention that window for Focus on Namibia open, and I think it was the right move, even in terms of timing for Namibia to have opened up, exposed what was happening that was not acceptable, government to take a strong stance, people being taken to court. Then it itself speaks to the intolerance of corruption. So yes, came at the right time where you have to ensure that the governance architecture is restored, the image of the company is re-established, and the profitability of it, that it does not burden government any further on that. So all incumbent, I think, important with coming from a fiscal background of having been in charge of fiscus, I think it is a right position for me. I found the challenge well. I've been exposed broadly to, even with labor relations. So I'll be able to clear the labor issues, pending cases that were in-house. Many of them were outsourced. We put a position that we should be able to handle it internally, cut costs, eliminate wastages, but at the same time also recruit, again, additional, there was a high staff turnover, the critical positions, especially when it comes to risk and compliance, to appoint the right people that would bring the boat back on track.
Did anything in particular surprise you? I mean, as outsiders to institutions, we all have our own perceptions of those institutions until you get inside, and then you say, wow, maybe it's a culture shock, or maybe you are pleasantly surprised by some things you thought they were worse, but they're actually better, while those that you thought were better, they're actually worse once you enter that space. Did anything particularly shock you?
I should admit that obviously I coincidentally followed the case that was happening. So I had an idea fairly of what went wrong. And getting back in the office, of course, you meet staff with different feelings. And it's a project in itself to restore confidence in the staff, to restore systems and processes, and for staff to understand that actually what is right and what is wrong is wrong. So it's a restoration of corporate culture altogether. Of course, it went through turbulences. There were no staff increases, for example. So staff morale very low. And I think obviously them also being skeptical of this seemingly politician walking in here. But I think I was able to offer leadership. I must say the board surprised me with, in 6 weeks, a performance appraisal. I think I made records. But going through that, I think they were also equally skeptical, which I don't blame people for. I said, listen, I'm here to offer leadership and to take the boat forward, restore confidence, be it from all stakeholders, from the investor, from the Namibian populace, and even from cabinet, from the president, to believe that it is an organization that can take this important mandate forward. So big challenge, but doable. I have competent staff. Of course, we still have some whisperings going around, but I think I was able to, in record time, build, restore confidence from the staff members that I can offer leadership.
Absolutely.
And I'm very happy for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Having followed, of course, what is alleged to have happened during the tenure of those that are now facing charges, the blatant abuse of systems and you know, just the loopholes that were exploited for people to do what they're alleged to have done, does that give you a bit of advantage to then walk in understanding what went wrong, and to also come in immediately and look at the systems in place, the processes and systems in place, so that you plug those holes quickly so that further abuse does not take place?
Yes, I think I should applaud my predecessors, the likes of Deputy Governor Wankuta and even Vicky that was in the office, that has played their part in terms of, first of all, getting everybody out that had contributed to it. And of course, I still had to do a lot of clearing up. There was a lot of labor cases that were pending to sort that out. There are still some hanging, but certainly was able to reduce cost on that. So it was a mixed box. Yeah. But what I can say, what we definitely did is getting the staff back on track. And that in itself is important. As much as you have the know-how, if there's a disruption in your controls, it brings uncertainty within the staff as well. So I definitely have played my part in pulling them together. Also, but it is a process. Not all is well. We have just appointed a risk and compliance officer who have to then also take time to understand the processes. They had systems that were acquired that did not meet the industry standard, that we're still trying to ensure that it is serving its purpose. So it's a mixed bag. We have got a backlog in audit reports, and especially after governance lapse, it's not just about getting rid of the people. It's about ensuring that you account for what went missing. So that in itself is a process. So we are a bit behind with audit reports, but I must say that we've made progress. Hopefully during next year we'll catch up with our audit reports. But the process and me coming in time, being able to do a lot of reconciliations makes us to understand, and hopefully for 26, 27, ours would be a focus on restoring the controls. But so far, what we also succeeded to do is to prove that we can actually trade profitably in the retail space. I think there was an indication that maybe we must exit retail altogether. But it is within the mandate of Namcor for security of supply of fuel that we need to have outlets. So we're also building an argument to make our principals, now I'm on the other side of the table, our principals understand why it is mandatory for Namcor to remain in the downstream space. We are hopefully that when we go have that conviction and agreement, that we will also be able to shorten distances to the service outlets or retail outlets, especially in remote areas that are underserved, where people drive kilometers with literally petrol to go and get petrol. So I think it contributes to poverty. So we're putting that, and I think my experience comes very much handy in terms of understanding the socioeconomic dynamics in the economy and what service delivery means for the ordinary person on the ground.
Yeah. You are very brave, Ms. Mbuende, for taking over a position that that is not an easy one. One of the most difficult ones in the SOE space, I would say. Epson Wanguta that you referred to earlier on, from an outsider point of view, it looked as if he couldn't wait for his tenure to end so that he goes back to the Bank of Namibia. Shiwanande Unyama before him acted as MD briefly, and there were reports, I think a year ago, that there was a point when he approached the board to ask to be relieved of that position. But here you are, taking on this responsibility. Is it, where does the courage come from to think that a position that has caused a lot of headaches for others, somehow you'll be able to excel in it?
It's probably a matter of character.
Yeah.
It's maybe a matter of character, but I should say, thanks to the president and the minister, the prime minister, that thought of me, of offering that leadership. But I think, like I said, my background and I always call myself a governance fanatic.
Yeah.
I think that contributed to being able to put into practice what you preach.
Yeah.
So it is an opportunity. And I've always been this person that believes that public service or public sector can be efficient,
Yeah.
and it can be profitable. So it is literally peak of my career where I want to satisfy myself that yes, as public service, we are capable of offering the best,
Yeah.
upholding procedures and the governance architecture that we have put in place ourselves, and also being a leader in the industry, setting standards, offering leadership. Also, because we are at the space in the upstream exploration where we have to engage with international big corporates. And I think it couldn't have been a better time for me to walk in there,
Yeah.
to restore confidence, because we have to, first of all, keep these people interested in Namibia.
Yeah.
Secondly, to ensure that the Namibian populace also sees the value that the industry has a potential to bring to this country,
Yeah.
and be ready to participate. So with that, what I'm saying is that when government comes up with a local content policy, it is important that the young people, or even the children, gets interested in this industry and prepare themselves to participate. I want to also say that when I'm in there, or having been in there for a few months, I also see the relevance in the presidency having elevated this position of upstream policy making to the presidency, because it is the single window of opportunity Namibia has to realize the social upliftment and the elevation of poverty that independence have promised us, that we have a potential to really shift the bar.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe the last question on in this line of questioning, those who had second thoughts about your appointment, saying, "Oh, but Maureen is just a politician, a member of parliament, deputy minister," and maybe questioning your capacity and ability. And the counter argument to that is that the seasoned corporate executives that you wish were appointed in her place are the very people who, under whose leadership this company actually struggled severely. This is an unorthodox appointment, somebody who's an outsider, if you like. But maybe that is what we need. Maybe this is what this company needs now. A fresh pair of eyes from outside the mainstream corporate space that comes in with a completely different idea and expectations and do something differently. Do you want to exploit that kind of...
I think I should actually also probably just add to say, even among my staff members, my executives, certainly appreciates this. They always say, "Oh, you're bringing new perspective. You're bringing a different perspective to the table." So I think we find synergy. It was relevant, and even myself, I feel the value I'm adding. Of course, I'm not doing it alone. I have a team of very capable staff that probably just needed that reassurance that the expectation that we have on the oil and gas industry, we have a chance of realizing that. And I must say, my profile, when I sit around the corporate table with the big players, That's value.
Yeah, yeah.
They have great
Appreciation.
of my profile.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think skeptical, there's nothing wrong with people being skeptical. It actually probably also allowed me to take the best out of me,
Yeah, yeah.
to say that, listen, I can do this.
I have a point to
But
prove
yes,
somehow also.
Yeah, exactly. And I tell, of course, it is science when it comes to exploration. It is definitely science, geoscience, totally new to me. But I tell my staff, there's no layman's language here.
Yeah.
We keep the terminology, we keep the debates, and I'm able to draw the dots.
Absolutely. The fact, and you touched on it a little bit, the fact that oil now resorts under the president's office somehow, does that make your work even easier now? Because somehow you have direct access now. I don't know, of course, I don't know about the protocols of reporting. Of course, you have a minister in between. But somehow I think it brings you closer also to the president, so that if quick decisions need to be made, at least you have that direct line.
Of course, the upstream unit is the one that is closer to the president, not necessarily my office.
Yeah.
We still report to the ministry. Of course, we have a dotted line to the upstream unit. But the difference that it made is that it is priority number one. It is also putting the pressure on everybody to perform. What the upstream unit has managed to do is, of course, we've got a cross-sectoral committee, that the negotiation team for FID, that has been put together, so all the ministries participate. What it is brought to light is the sense of urgency. Whenever something comes to your table, you know it is urgent. Of course, we're still struggling with everybody to come to grips of terms of it. We're waiting for the parliament to pass the laws for the required adjustment. But I think I want to just appeal to say that we all see sense in the prioritization of the industry, and therefore within this big ministry, it being then put properly like a commission in itself, stand alone, that will be represented in cabinet, I believe. I think it just puts the focus on it, and it makes it urgent and important. And the blue economy promises that we've all been looking forward to be realized in our lifetime. Yes, oil and gas is a capital-intensive project, and therefore our shareholding, that has a lot of critics that government is focusing on. I think the policy has it now at 10%. We are negotiating to see where we can improve on it. But the understanding that we need is that it is capital intensive, and also in the big companies do de-risk by sharing the risk, having more people around the table because there's also a lot of uncertainty. Oil has been discovered, but it's commercial value still has to be discovered. But then there's also gas that has been discovered. The oil quality is good, it's sweet, they would say from the geologists. So it is all promising, but 2026 we are looking forward that we will move into at least first FID. We'll do appraisal wells, then we can conclude that whether it is of commercial value or not. We are looking at a local content policy that has been the big focal point of upstream unit. For us in the industry, we're also inviting players in the industry to present themselves so that we can understand what services are offered locally, so that we can enrich the local content policy, but also actual local participation to be enriched. Professions for people to understand what it is. But what we as Namcor is also looking at is focus on environmental sustainability, being proactive, coming up with projects that will make sure that we keep the balance of carbon emissions. So it is huge task, huge responsibility. but quite promising and exciting. I must also say that, of course, probably depending on what the discoveries would be, whether the midstream will be further developed in terms of refinery space, in terms of storage space. We are all excited, but important is that the young people get excited so that they can see themselves and find their space in adding value or contributing or participating in the industry.
Absolutely. The very final question before we go for a short break. You are an interim MD at the moment. I don't recall very well how long, I don't know whether it was really announced as to how long.
6 months.
6 months. That's not enough time because you have duties yourselves. I mean yourself. It will be on your name will be in the history of those who served Namcor in that capacity, and what impact, if any, they have left behind. Do you think that 6 months is enough time to make any real change?
I think it was when I got the appointment, I said to myself, in 6 months I should be able to prove myself that I'm bringing value to the table.
Yeah.
So yes, of course, I'm looking at something beyond the 6 months.
Yeah.
But the 6 months has given me, first of all, to probably also get confidence in the public, for people to realize that yes, she can make a difference. So yes, there's a space for me to prove myself, and also to turn around the tables. Of course, there was space, talks of exiting downstream, doing this, trimming it down, how, what do happen to Namcor, does it add value? Government has stepped in, government has been good. I always tell myself, maybe I shouldn't take all the credit. I must admit that the timing was good for me. Yeah. Government came in with, of course it was the second time, but probably a second time bailout. But that has helped Namcor to clear its debt. It has relieved itself of huge interest payments there were. The transaction that we were into also led to a lot of demarriage. So there were a lot of penalties that were, so I think even close to 300, 400 million savings just from that government bailout, apart from having cleared it in terms of expenditure that were running. Currently, we are able to trade positively, although it is on short term and it is high risk, but we have turned the tables.
Yeah, wonderful. No, wonderful. We go for a very short break and then we'll return with Maureen Mbuende. Our conversation continues with Maureen Mbuende. She is the interim MD of Namcor, our national oil company. Now, in terms of this ongoing court case, you spoke about restoring the confidence into the brand itself as one of your priorities also. How has this case affected the company in terms of how you are viewed by stakeholders, by your international partners? I know, for example, that in a very recent past, there was this Angolan oil deal, and Sonangol, the oil company in Angola, started having reservations about proceeding with Namcor's deal in light of many negative news reports that came out of. So just in general, how has this matter affected Namcor?
Yeah, maybe to start with the Sonangol deal. Of course, there were perceptions that it did not follow the required governance procedures to get obtained mandate to participate. The personal opinion is really that it was not a bad deal. But then, of course, not that Namcor preferred that way, but the board had then decided exit. Sometimes when people take decisions, it's not necessarily everything that Mulunga did was bad. I think it was not a bad effort to build asset in an existing company in a neighboring country. It was good neighbor bilateral relations. But of course, instructions were that we need to exit, and we had to uphold that. We have repatriated, I think, about 95% of what was invested. So also we've made some foreign exchange gains. Therefore, the loss in the deal was not that high. But we remain with good relations with Namcor. They understood why we had to exit. And it does not cut out the possibility of future cooperations with them. In general, the case that is going on, especially in terms of the accounting transactions that happen, of course, that will definitely lead to qualified financials for that financial year. We can't avoid it. But ours is to track the transactions, trace them, and make their accounting-wise acceptable, according to the accounting standard, acceptable standards, adjustments that would be approved by the relevant structure. So yes, we have experienced great loss. We have made provisions for it. Some of them we're still tracking. So the impact thereof will still feel for a few years to come. But the fact that we have acted upon that I think in itself is restorative. We do have a lot of people that were victims of circumstances as well. So we also have to focus on counseling staff, just the staff wellness of it, to get them back. We had also an interesting engagement with staff where we took them through international speakers that could present governance issues and also understand the implications of that for the industry and for the country as well. So we've developed that good understanding. I think we're getting back slowly on track. We are expecting to show positive figures. And also we've also done good sales in data sales on the upstream, meaning the industry shocker, it was mitigated. Otherwise, many companies would have withdrawn from Namibian offshore and onshore explorations, and that didn't happen. So I think we are in a good space. We're making progress. But of course, the outcome of the whole thing will influence, in my understanding, how the whole architecture of the ethical architecture of the country. Like, is racketeering allowed in this country? And I think when people say you are proven until you are innocent until proven guilty, that doesn't serve us. Because we want to build or restore the ethical culture of the company. And we're convinced that how we deal with these issues will influence the overall culture, ethical culture of Namibia. So Namcor is cognizant of its important role, and that it is not and it cannot be out of the eye. That will be the sender. We are the sender, and we have to improve and prove ourselves that we are worth being on the forefront of the potential that the industry is placing to us. Of course, we also cognizant of the fact that we are very eager to make contributions to the several to the Velvicia Fund,
Yeah.
the Sovereign Wealth Fund, so that we ensure there is, for future generations, benefit today as well. Although we are still in the exploration phase, we're also looking at that.
Yeah.
So it is well multifaceted.
Yeah, I understand. What are the problems or challenges in the retail space as far as Namcor's involvement is concerned? Because it was Cabinet actually that had said to Namcor that you must exit from that space. And then there were service stations that were built by Namcor being put up for sale. I don't know where that matter stands now, but of course, some of the concerns were that competition-wise with the private sector, it was a bit of a challenge because you are a state entity, maybe you're not the regulator, but there's an element of maybe that as far as some are concerned. But in terms of your sustainability, financial sustainability, many thought that your involvement in that space could actually be a game changer for your finances.
I think, first of all, yes, a decision was taken. I am convinced that it was based on not so relevant information. First of all, yes, we have built service stations, and it was justified. You see the Zimbabwean situation with the sanctions, that there was no petrol in Zimbabwe, and people had to queue up for weeks to access. And our presence in the retail industry guarantees that we will keep the tanks open, that we will not have a Zimbabwe's case study being repeated in Namibia. And Namcor has built these service stations. Of course, it was overcapitalized, and probably to justify the capital that was applied, the forecasting was too ambitious. It was overstated. And when it was presented to cabinet, and I must say, in my opinion, that it was also misleading to the cabinet by giving the forecasting, the variances against the forecasted and the actual performance as a report. Because if you have overestimated your capacity, and then you are acting below capacity, although you're still profitable, and you present that to the shareholder, obviously the shareholder will say, no, we need to get out here. Yeah. So I think that it was based on wrong information. So we had the opportunity to present an argument why it is important that we remain in that space. Yeah. And that we have proven that from almost the 18 sites we have probably 3 or 4, less than 5 that are struggling. Some because of location, but all other sites are performing well and are trading profitably. Here and there we do have issues, but we are addressing them. Yeah. So I think it is relevant. And what I also want to emphasize is that, you know, as a public enterprise, you also engage in areas where the private sector would not necessarily play. In the sense that there are underserved communities. All the international service station outlets focuses on the trade routes. So our remote areas are highly underserved. Yeah. People travel more than 200, 300 kilometers to get to a service station. If you think about ASAP or from ASAP to Oshinene or Ebikiro or on your Sesfontein or Kikuyu roads. So there are spots where there is a need for this service, because we are cognizant of the fact that transportation or the cost of transport is the main contributor to inflation, and access to petrol outlets is also a factor. So it is our vision that we'll be able to shorten that distance. So meaning that we'll be able to service these underserved communities, to shorten the radius of for access, and also that will then also require us to have the required market mix So we need to be in the city to be able to be in Gam or to be able to be in Tumkwe or wherever we think that there is some services required.
And one of the focus areas of President Netumala Ndaitwah has been to cut out unnecessary middlemen from the procurement chain as far as public entities are concerned. One of the problems prior to your arrival at Namcor was that even the matter that is in court, there was an entity called Enacon between Namcor and the Ministry of Defense. When you thought that logically it would have just been a smooth Namcor NDF transaction. Same applies to your sister SOEs like NWR. They're in the parks. It was again Enacon and maybe other entities that will come to Namcor, and then they deliver that as if Namcor couldn't just directly do that. How are you handling with things? I mean, the Prime Minister calls it common sense. He preaches common sense to say, guys, why are we complicating things that ought to be just really direct? How do you deal with these things going forward?
Yes, maybe just to start with NWR, we just had an engagement with NWR to ensure that we offer them the services so that during the festive season there is accessibility on their important routes and stations. So we're addressing that one. Secondly, if I look at the Ministry of Defense issue, for example, it speaks to the core of the mandate of Namcor. Security of supply of fuel. And your defense actually has to be supplied by Namcor, simply to ensure that at any critical time they should have access. And therefore we are in talks with Ministry of Defense with August 26 to restructure the approach of procurement. Yes, our people have been left out of business and they think procurement and briefcase companies is an opportunity of business, but what it denies the end user of the benefit, the price benefit. Because of all these layers, this small company or the briefcase companies makes millions and the end user has to pay the price. So the cutting out of that actually would give us probably hope of seeing our fuel prices at the tanks reduced in not so far future.
Let's talk about again something that you touched on briefly prior to the break, and it's about the Namcor stakes in some of these reserves that have been discovered so far. How are we making sure that Namcor is optimally utilized as a vehicle to really drive us into the benefits and manifestation of this emerging industry? People are saying, oh, 10% is too little. Yet we also know that the company doesn't have enough capital to, because at least these are free carry, a lot of them. You would have to then put actual money on the table for you to get more stakes in these things. What must happen going forward?
I think first of all, it's an understanding of the industry that probably we need to sensitize our public with so that we understand it is capital intensive. We do not have the necessary reserves in the country to do that. It's also very high risk because we need to reach to a stage where we can say, yes, we have oil, but yes, our first oil came out and it is commercially value. So I think because of that, and even companies, like I said, for example, in one of our blocks where Gulp was an 80% shareholder, it has farmed out to bring Total on board. And why they do that is, one, to share the risk. Secondly, also because it is capital intensive, to bring in a big sister to
capital
come to the
injection.
table for capital injection to ensure that they can share the expenses as well. It also help us, of course, the 10%, mind you, give us equal right. And luckily, it's not like because you are 10%, you have only a 10% value of your vote. Joint venture partners jointly decides on things. And everybody's voice counts. We also advise to government. So being able to, even whether it's of 10% or not, to sit on that table, to analyze the geoscience of what happens in that specific block, gives us as Namcor, first of all, privilege of having a general picture of what is happening in the subsurface. And secondly, Namibian beneficiation, to ensure that there is the local content policies are upheld, that we look at we get Namibians being exposed, we attach our staff members to different oil fields and countries, and we are able to share boardrooms with companies and countries that we wouldn't have otherwise shared boardrooms with. So the knowledge transfer that happens through that, the experiences on which the big giants on whose shoulders we stand, when we share with the 10% in the boardroom, I think we're getting more than that out. Obviously, after we have proven that we have economical viable deposits, Namcor has got also its own blocks where it is having 100% shares. Then we will see how we develop that, to which extent we must farm out. And maybe important to mention is that apart from stake in the whole research that has been done and that continues to be done, we are able to sell data and on behalf of government, and we're collecting that as well. So it has given us different income streams. If we have local participants in terms of local content, and we're expanding our area. We just had a meeting with what was it called, one company that is offering services on the offshore. We through that, local companies would benefit. Employment, we want to upskill and retrain our people so they're able to take up jobs, especially when we go into the exploration space. And in my other discussion with Redero, I was saying many of our people that are economic refugees elsewhere that are being exposed in the oil and gas industry will be able to also add to the expertise. But what is important is that we are sitting on the table. We have the advantage of selling Namibia, of keeping the interest, because window of opportunity is not forever open. So that we maximize benefit. Also, the people that we deal with, there are certain compromises that we need to make to ensure, whether it is about the tax regimes or whether it is about, there are some incentives that we have to be competitive with to keep the investors interested in Namibia.
What can you tell us about the oil flow storage that you are managing there at the coast? People are saying you are running it at a loss. It has been placed on your laps as a company to say, you are our national oil company, you have to administer this whole facility. There used to be issues reported in the media about theft of oil there. Is there a burden on Namcor to have that facility on your books?
I think, oil storage it's like a warehouse of the product. And as a national oil company, we not only responsible for the storage itself, we're responsible for the jetty, for offloading of oil. And I think we are managing it well in terms of technical skills. What, of course, we, like I said earlier, the demarriages, we've also managed the hiccups that are around offloading. But of course, the storage in itself was a matter of, it was the first time we rented it out to a local partner. Relationship was a bit skewed and exploitative. Government has reviewed and have come up with new tariffs that are minimum indicators for pipe usage for storage. And in the new financial year, or the new year that is about to start, we're definitely looking at new contracts that will be market related, and that will help us once again to be a bit more profitable. We're looking at balanced relationships, balanced beneficiation, but obviously we all know that storage was also overcapitalized. So when you overcapitalize any project, the burden continues over years. So we're carrying that, therefore we'll probably not be able to recover the cost, but it is like building a road, you know. The benefit is not only for directly for getting, we don't have toll gates, yet Namibia is an attractive investment destination because of the road infrastructure that is of quality. So the storage facility efficient management is what will ensure that there is security of fuel. So it is within our mandate, and we are doing all we can to improve on efficiency and effectiveness. And of course, with the new rates, probably at least a certain level of recovery for government for its investment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think closing, MD, I had to put this question to you because there's an SMS circulating with your name in it. And I think it's an opportunity to set the record straight. It's a long SMS. I haven't been able to read the whole of it. But it talks about Maureen Mbuende, of course, lying to the office of the president, Namcor. This is a Namcor HKSS tender. And it says here that there's a company called, they said Ants Investment CC, and they're alleging that you are interfering in order to influence the outcome and stuff like that. If you can give us the context of what is transpiring and just to set the record straight.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think, first of all, yes, it is a briefcase company that has tendered to manage a service station. Obviously, everybody starts some way, so was probably very hopeful that he would be able to have an opportunity to become a businessman, and was disappointed, and therefore is venting out. But no facts. To be honest, our procurement processes are up to standard. It complies with regulations, and that transaction anyway happened before my time. It was, but I took my liberty to verify the whole procurement process it went through, the evaluation that was happening, and I satisfied myself that indeed the company that we have awarded, with which I've signed the contract, was deserving, was the best, and although the owner probably has already 2 other sites, it was not part of the requirement that you must be a first-time person. But obviously, because of his track record, he has managed very well the other sites. He was able to present a superior tender document, and therefore was the winner in this case. Maybe in future, we could look at putting a cap so that we give everybody an opportunity to participate, but it does not give us the privilege of just slandering people and venting out its anger. I think he was over ambitious. We do have other service stations that may come out on tender again, encourage him to try. I'm sure he has learned his lessons of the shortcomings his presentation had, and a simple one was like there were no financial statements of the company. Yes, because it's a briefcase company. But then also you could have made some submissions to say that I've not forgotten, or it's not because my books are not audited, it's because I have not yet started. So it did not have that context, and it had that shortcomings. So yes, the process was fair. He was not the best. In fact, apparently somebody that was considered to be the whistleblower who have engaged, I've invited him to my office. I said, I have nothing against anybody being whistleblower. We have an act that protects whistleblowers. So I don't have a problem with it, but please have the facts. And let's not tarnish the image of a company because of a bit of shortage in information. And he satisfied himself that the submission was indeed substandard, did not meet some requirements, and the other one that was awarded was indeed the best company that we have given. In future, maybe we will make some affirmative action provisions to ensure that we can allow newcomers into the trade. But you would agree with me that Namcor branded service stations have given opportunity to more locals to participate in the retail industry, which is lucrative in itself if you can manage your costs. It requires self-discipline. So also a call out to everybody that is dealing with our brand, that Namcor is given an opportunity. Please make use of the opportunity, maintain a financial prudence and financial discipline, and benefit from profits and not from your cash flow. Absolutely.
Thank you, MD, for coming through. It's really a pleasure to sit with you and to tap from your thinking as far as running this important institution of our country is concerned. We wish you a Merry Christmas with your family. Please go and rest and come back fresh and re-energized to drive this entity into the future.
Thank you very much. Allow me to also wish everybody else that are listening a best festive season. Safe travel, drive slow, save your petrol, and reach your destination safe.
Absolutely.
And come back in one piece.
Wonderful. Thank you, MD. That is Maureen Mbuende. She is the interim managing director of our national oil company, Namcor. Thank you for watching.